LMU. Hiveston Pavilion at the helm of LMU. Michael Greenstein, Deidre Carr, Julian McFadden are officials tonight. We're underway. Exhibition campaign. This will not feel like an exhibition, though, tonight, Bill. Coaching staff for LMU made it very clear they're approaching this like it is opening night with a packed house inside.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, that competitive fire that you have as a player, that exhibition asterisk becomes incidental when you're on the floor.
17-15 for the Lions last year, just 8-10 in WCC play, as Shelley has it knocked off of his hand and out of bounds. There's a look at the rest of your starting lineups on the bottom of the screen. Bill, you just wonder for LMU, it's a team who's been right in the middle of the WC standings over the last few years in the Stan Johnson era. How can they get over that hump, get into the ilk of the Gonzagas and St. Mary's of the league?
Yeah, it just starts really with being relentless, connected, and, of course, selfless. That's Stan Johnson's mantra, and that will have to be followed for the Lions to ascend in the conference.
An offensive rebound on a reset following the miss by Kofi from three, but it is thrown away. Just underway from Gersten Pavilion.
And, of course, Ben, last season, LMU had 2 5-game winning streaks, one non-conference, one in the conference, won another MTE championship. This one happened to be in Cancun. They've had wins over the past couple of years over Gonzaga, over St. Mary's, Wake Forest, Georgetown. But you want that consistency, of course. And like you said, they want to rise to the top of the conference.
Ball knocked away. There's Terrence Williams. USC and LMU similar in a lot of ways. They showed flashes of brilliance last year, but were plagued by inconsistencies. Marsh, step back three, is short. That was a big area of struggle for LMU, the rebounding game. They were plagued by a lack of rebounding prowess inside, but they get the board here. And we get a foul off the ball. First whistle of the night.
And to your point, Ben, the identity, we're seeing a little bit of choppy play here early as both coaching staffs get a look at their players under duress, competing against someone with a different jersey. And for USC, okay, road poise, right? Take care of the ball, execute under duress, and you've got to own the glass. So you can't come into an opponent's gym, throw the ball all over the place, and give LMU those second chance opportunities, that opportunistic offense that Stan Johnson and the Lions want.
USC a season ago, just 3-7 on the road. Asar, the transfer from Utah, 1 of 2 at the stripe. As MJ Amy, mostly a sixth man off the bench last year, he gets bumped on the interior by Asar. This is the part of the court most LMU Lion fans will be interested in, Bill, to see the development as you get another look at this drive and foul.
Yeah, so straight line drive, and to Amy's credit, he gets to the, it's a non-shooting foul, but he senses the opportunity to penetrate and get to the basket before dishing.
I mean, LMU, a top 5 defense overall in the conference last year. This was the end of the floor they struggled in as Amy airballs. And it's Asar coast to coast, knocked away, and a chance to push. 2-on-1 for the Lions. It is Vide who can't finish. Dickerson comes up with it, and maybe the expected sloppy start of a first exhibition game. Marsh can't answer on the floater as Sansa gets the board.
And that miss by Vide, an aberration.
Finds the big man underneath. Sansa on a tie-up and a jump ball. 0 for 6 combined from the field between USC and LMU.
And no one is making any excuses, but when you look at LMU's roster, 68% of their scoring has moved on. So you've got to replace that, and you've got capable players here in Amy, Vide, McBride, Asanza, Shelley, of course, a newcomer.
Just one returning starter, to your point, back for LMU, even though they do have 6 returners overall from last year. We do see Chad Baker-Mazzara in for the first time, but it's his teammate Jacob Kofi called for the moving screen. Now for Eric Musselman, he decided to completely rehaul his team. He's without 2 key pieces. Elijah Arenas might miss the entire season. The freshman 5-star recruit, son of Gilbert Arenas, had a car crash in April, tore his meniscus in July. They haven't yet officially said he'll be out for the year, but at least going to miss the first 4 months of the season. Then Rodney Rice, the transfer from Maryland, hoping to get him to go at the start of regular season play. Vide can't hit here, but it's a follow-up and foul. Asanza on the offensive glass. So pretty clear to say, Bill, his USC team will look vastly different, the one we're seeing tonight, as to the one we expect to see come February and March.
Right, and Trojan fans are excited. Musselman's so good in year 2 at Arkansas, as well as Nevada prior to that, getting his team into the NCAA tournament. And, you know, it's interesting, this is could be the closest road trip that SC will have in its history. And, of course, the Big Ten presents opportunities, but also challenges on the road. And you see Asanza here getting LMU on the board, the 7-footer. And again, Vide with the great take, Asanza with the avarice on the offensive glass, getting to the free throw line. Coaching staff will look at that tomorrow on tape and say, Rick, come on, big boy, you got to dunk that next time.
The 7'1", 245-pound grad transfer does get both free throws for LMU. And our first look at Rokas Yatsus, the Central Florida transfer coming in. Another big body for head coach Stan Johnson. And a team that was one of the tallest in the country last year. They were the number 10 team as far as total height, but that didn't necessarily result in great rebounding play. Second worst rebounding team across the WCC a year ago, but they feel like the reinforcements have really helped in that side of the ball.
Yeah, that helps with the eye test in the airport. You intimidate people with the height, but of course, you're right, Ben, you got to bring it on the floor.
Here's Baker Mazzara on the step back, knocks it down. He played in the Final Four last year for Auburn and was the piece in the transfer portal as Jerry Easter gets the steal off the inbounds and lays it off for Terrence Williams.
So USC, very aggressive. Musselman, he recruits a lot of ex-football players. They bring the physicality. And the Lions, in contrast, have to handle that type of pressure.
Shelley airballs the 3. Block inside. Gabe Dines just led the country in blocks last year at Youngstown State. Transition 3. Easter way short, and a rebound to Rodney Brown Jr., transfer from Va Tech, just into the game. Teammates together in Missouri as Dickerson banks it in. Amarion Dickerson, the transfer from Robert Morris, was awesome last year, Horizon League Defensive Player of the Year, and it is a 6-0 run for USC. Yatsus expected to play a big role in the interior. His pass knocked away, and then Shelley gets
tournament. Jeff Fryer's in the building at 41 against Michigan in that win. He still holds the NCAA tournament game record of 11 made threes. Spoke to the team prior to this game as well.
Out of the timeout, nice little head fake from A.J. Thomas, the true freshman in. Hard to believe, 40 years this spring since that fateful moment in LMU basketball history that changed the trajectory forever. In the meantime, Chad Baker Mazzara, tough finish. That's why Eric Musselman brought him in from Auburn as one of the best impact transfers in the country.
Yeah, and he shoots around 40% from 3, and he crushes you at the free throw line, but he shoots in the high 80s. Again, he had that 18-point performance against Florida in the Final Four. He's a very skilled player.
This is a good opportunity for A.J. Thomas, true freshman from Lancaster, California, getting an opportunity to earn some minutes right out of the chute, but the Lions are down to 4 on the shot clock, and Baker Mazzara takes it away. Sets up his teammate Williams, who's a little strong on the 3. Easter saves right to Brown. Thomas wide open, pull up 3, won't go, and the long board out to Williams. And Baker Mazzara just looks so in command in a game that has a lot of sloppiness.
Yeah, he plays with great poise. 1-2-2 pressure.
And a chance for the freshman to get in as well for LMU. We mentioned Thomas already. Jael Martin, the 24 in white. He's in the near corner of your screen. Redshirt freshman from Carlsbad, California, in for the first time. Brown can end the drought. Asanza denied by Dines, who had 104 of those last year. One of the best shot blockers in the country at Youngstown State.
Now, I would be a good defender if I had Dines behind me, okay? Now, this guy, look at the elevation and the SWAT. Gorgeous.
You play with a lot of 7'5" guys on the playgrounds of the Jersey Shore, Bill, back in the day?
No, not really. And I'm also not averse to a little bit of embellishment. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But nobody 7-5.
MJ Amy back in. Lions desperate to snap the scoring drought. Won't come here, but Asanza, another offensive board. Tough finish over Dines, won't go. Jaden Brownell just in as well for USC. He's on the ball right now. Jordan Marsh brought in. Prodigious score last year, nearly 19 a game for UNC Asheville to try to complement this Trojan attack. As Baker Mazzara can't hit, rebound to Asanza, who has been impressive holding his own underneath so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Both ends of the floor. Asanza has been very active.
Here's Martin on the drive, fouled before he laid it off for Asanza.
And Ben, as you know, many of the pundits have rated USC's performance in the portal as quite strong. So they've reloaded in a major way. And we see a good baseline drive here and an attempt to dish by Martin.
Thomas has it knocked away by Baker Mazzara. 10-0 run for USC in this first of two exhibition games for both Trojans and Lions. On the spin, Thomas partial alter by Easter. And a lot of the websites that have the analytic data, the Ken Palms of the world, are in love with this USC team. It's just a question of, can they all come together? And on plays like that, they will. Baker Mazzara to a wide open Dines.
Yeah, just great execution by USC. And that'll be a topic in the next huddle, of course, for Stan Johnson. Tougher defense.
Another stuff from Dines, and it's last off Amy.
Now Vide back on the floor, the Slovenian. Fellow countryman also toiling in Los Angeles, Luka Doncic.
Toiling being the operative word used there. Oh, and for LMU, too, trying to figure out with the two leading scorers from last year, Caleb Stone-Carrawell, Javon Porter, no longer on the roster, who do you go to when you need a bucket to snap a 10-0 drought like this?
Yeah, and that's all part of the identity, the culture of the program as you develop, Ben, and understand exactly that scenario, how to respond.
Williams had a season cut short to injury last year. Gets the ball back, 5 on the shot clock. On the drive, finish will go, Terrence Williams. The Michigan transfer was really good for USC before he went down with injury in early December last year.
Yeah, that was a great drive. Williams, he sensed the switch, still went to the basket and finished strong. Well done.
A near steal, but it leads Amy open for three. The drought continues for LMU. This is a 14-0 run. And it's Marsh wide open. Can't hit the three, but another offensive rebound for Brownell. Just transferring in from Samford. Now Marsh with a size mismatch. Lays it off. Easter through contact. No, but a foul. All Trojans so far as we hit a break in this first exhibition.
Within yourself, make smart plays, and also, USC, 12 of their 15 points have come in the paint. So you've got to tighten things up on the defensive end. But your defense starts with good offense. You want the Trojans to take the ball out of the net so that you're in better defensive position.
E.J. Neal, saw him check in a moment ago, that number 12 for the Trojans, transfer from Sacramento State, who was the team's leading three-point shooter last year. Out of the timeout, Jerry Easter hits 1 of 2 at the line. Ryan Cornish in as well for the first time, the Dartmouth transfer for SC.
And to your point, Ben, you really literally have to take it one possession at a time here. You have to dig in. It's like you have a tough day at practice. You got to dig into the next drill.
Jan Vide played about 20 minutes a game off the bench last year, former UCLA Bruin. He's familiar with this USC program. Josh Dalton, a true freshman, just into the game. And his first shot off the mark. Oh, what a follow-up. Jalen Shelley, the ex-Trojan, throws it down.
And that's the way to get your offense going and to get the crowd going. An outstanding atmosphere here at Gersten Pavilion tonight.
On the lob, Dines underneath. Nice ball movement through the hands of Cornish. And not anything to cheer about in the first 10 minutes for the LMU fans, as Marsh has 7 on the shot clock and then steps on the baseline. Exactly what you were talking about, Bill. A good offensive set leading to good D on the other end.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you've got a little bit of momentum going here, handling the USC three-quarter court pressure. This has to be an opportunity for a dunk at the other end. You embrace the pressure. Shelley with the significant hops gets the crowd into it.
You have the 2 team captains on the floor right now, Vide and Amy, each both voted upon by their teammates to be captains this year. But Vide loses the handle, just saves it before the backcourt violation. 5 of the shot clock. Amy kicks, high archer, short. Potential for an offensive rebound, but Shelley couldn't control on the missed 3 by Dalton.
Yeah, that was a good effort by Shelley with the basketball right in front of him. That's not going to happen that often. And there he is extending a missed box out, and he takes advantage in a major way for the Lions as they try to close this gap.
Think he's amped it all playing against his former coach, the Muss? Maybe just a touch.
No question, no question. A little extra motivation for sure.
Baker Mazzara draws the foul on Rodney Brown, 3rd team foul on LMU. Yeah, the projections for USC are really all over the place. They were only picked 12th out of 18 teams in the Big Ten, but the KenPom numbers have them as a legit top 25 team. It's as good of a transfer class as any in the country. You would not be surprised, really, to see this team be a deep March Madness run team. It wouldn't be a shocker if they missed the tournament altogether, though. That's the fascinating part of putting these teams together through the portal, as it's an and one for Marsh, floating it up and in.
Yeah, gorgeous move by Marsh, getting into the painted area, the floater, capitalizing and going to the line. Well, that's really, in a way, the story of college basketball. Little handoff here, and Marsh knows what to do. He sees daylight. Vide tries to beat him to the spot, but there is contact, and Marsh takes advantage. But that's the challenge, is to inculcate into your roster of new players your philosophy, and also distilling all the information, the film, the data, the analytics, to get players to execute on the floor. It's really fascinating to watch the whole process, so we'll see how it plays out. But certainly both of these teams have, high aspirations and high potential within their respective leagues. There's no doubt about it.
Turnover, though, for LMU. That is 8 on the night, and an extended 17-2 run, running over 8 minutes for head coach Stan Johnson. He's the only coach in WCC history to beat Gonzaga, St. Mary's, and BYU in the same season, but sustaining that consistency has been the big challenge.
Yeah, that's why this night in particular is a great opportunity for the Lions to find it. When your weaknesses are exposed, that's actually a good thing, because then you have the opportunity to work on it. Great D by Vide.
Vide with a takeaway. 3-on-2 chance, but it gets away from Brown. And Shelley recovers for the Lions. On the drive and kick, 3 on the way. Knocks it down. Rodney Brown Jr., welcome to LA.
Yeah, Brown is one of those guys that can be, you talked about it earlier, Ben, which guys can step up and score, and Brown certainly has the ability and the opportunity to do that in a major way for LMU.
Baker Mazzara been the focal point for USC in the opening 12-plus minutes. The deep 2, a little strong from Marsh. There's Assar with the board. Can't finish, but is fouled on the way up as we hit a break. Well, slow start for LMU, but the Lions, great to ring it all in with a intra-Los Angeles showdown, isn't it?
Yeah, academic success just as important for student athletes as winning games here at LMU. Resource labs, studying and tutoring spaces, offices for advisors and administrators, excellent film room, training facilities. Matthew Lerman, the great SID here, took me on a tour earlier today. And I started to get comfortable. I didn't want to leave. He said, no, Bill, this is not for you. You can work at Starbucks, my friend. But absolutely gorgeous renovation here at Gersten Pavilion. First class.
Assar 1 of 2 at the line and getting to ring it in front of a packed house as well. Now for LMU, it's a matter of shaking off the first 10-plus minutes where the Lions started 0 of 14 from the field and have struggled handling the ball. That's another turnover. Chance for Marsh to run all the way. Baker Mazzara on the finish, and then he almost steals the inbounds pass.
Yeah, so Marsh has been a provocateur. He has been ubiquitous on the floor and in the stat sheet. And Baker Mazzara, obviously, he's going to run the full 94 feet here and try to capitalize for USC. Get a good look at it here. As a player, you anticipate your teammate is going to make that, but you follow up anyway. And the fans at USC are going to love that all season long.
Here's a player Lion fans will love watching, the Kyle Shelton. Our first look at him, expected to have a big role. First team All-OVC last year for Eastern Illinois. A prodigious scorer in his time in the Midwest.
Yeah, some nice pieces added by Stan Johnson to this Lions roster.
Shelley, no on the 3, and then you can tell Shelton's fired up. Got up for that offensive board, but goes over the back.
And, you know, obviously, you know, the mantra, defend without fouling, and you don't want to foul. But in a situation like this, you could live with that energy and that avarice for the offensive glass, the energy that Shelton's bringing.
14-point lead for USC, moving to the late stages of the first half. Chad Baker Mazzara putting his Final Four credentials on display tonight. As Assar goes to work in the paint, can't finish. Nice D from a true freshman, Josh Dalton.
Dalton has great size, and he will have an NBA body very soon. He's an imposing figure as a freshman. Only going to get bigger and stronger. There he is.
All right, on cue. Can't finish on the first tip attempt and then gets fouled off the Jalen Shelley miss. Dalton got invited to play at the Jason Tatum Elite Camp in Las Vegas over the summer. You can see the athleticism on display.
Yeah, and this is where LMU would like to continue their defensive prowess into this season with the remade roster. They would like to rebound the basketball on both ends of the floor. They, of course, defensively like to control and own the defensive glass and get out and run, and therefore generate a bit more offense. Such valuable minutes for a player like Dalton this evening.
Jerry Easter back in for USC. I mean, when you talk with the coaching staff of Stan Johnson at LMU, it's 3 simple words: defend, rebound, run. Was the 3rd best defensive field goal team in the WCC last year as you get a moving screen going on the Trojans going the other way.
Yeah, Shelton's bringing good defensive energy, and that was a great pick and roll help scenario by Asanza. Great job by our crew here as we get a second look. Look at Asanza in the drop position. And again, Shelton, rear view mirror block. Well done. And great job by our crew as well.
And Kofi called for that moving screen, his second personal. 6 to go in the first half. A lot of freshmen getting their first taste of college basketball tonight in this exhibition for LMU. Tanner Thomas, the Sacred Heart transfer, also just in for the first time. A.J. Thomas, the true freshman, but he walks with the basketball. No better way to get thrown into the fire, right, than against a legit Power 4 team like an SC.
Yeah, Thomas is an intriguing player, scored over 3,000 in high school. And again, now what used to be checkers is chess. Like you said, baptism by fire against USC on your home floor.
It's interesting to watch how the Trojans look in half-court sets against a tall, tenacious defense like in LMU. SC really struggled against the slower tempoed teams last year. They were 0-8 against teams in the bottom 100 of overall Ken Pomeroy tempo as you get a foul off ball here. And when you play in the Big Ten, Bill, you got to learn how to play against all sorts of styles. They really run the gamut more so than any conference in the country.
Yeah, and you look at Purdue atop the early polls here. And yeah, it's such treacherous terrain is the Big Ten. And of course, you make the same argument at LMU when you have to visit the likes of Gonzaga, St. Mary's, Santa Clara, Pepperdine, Portland. I can go on and on.
That's why both coaches felt like this would be a very useful exhibition for both, aside from just the proximity, trying to look at the weaknesses that were exposed last year and get immediate tests to try to improve upon them. As you see, Eric Musselman brought over from Arkansas with huge expectations. They bought out a big contract of over $4 million a year, paid the $1 million buyout from us. They're expecting big things. You get a pass right in year one, but now the expectation is NCAA tournament at a minimum for the Trojans.
Yeah, and Coach Muss is used to it, obviously. The scion of the late Bill Musselman, the great USD San Diego coaching tree. Gus Argenal, former assistant at Arkansas under Muss, now the head coach at UC Riverside. It continues to grow that tree, but he embraces the challenge here, no question.
A foul called off ball after Baker Mazzara got 1 of 2 at the line, and then Terrence Williams had the offensive rebound. 22-9 for USC as MJ Amy returns. And that foul puts LMU over the limit, 7th team foul. USC also over the limit, and it's Gabe Dines. Now, they brought in to help them with some of that size when they go up against the big, tall, slow-playing teams, but Dines misses the front end of the bonus.
You know what's interesting here, Ben, too, is that LMU's really struggled from the floor, 2 of 20, but a couple of buckets here, and it's a single-digit game. It's amazing how it's a game of creating, sustaining, and surviving runs.
Thomas on the push shot goes down for one of the best scorers in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference last year at Sacred Heart. Easter, the floater, too strong. Amy skies for the rebound. Last year's 6th man, now expected to be a key starter for LMU.
See, it's amazing what happens when you get stops on the defensive end.
The Lions missed their first 15 shots, 3 of 6 since. Amy, open look, can't hit the 3, and a rebound to Marsh.
That is a good look for Amy as well.
Oh, what great hustle in the backcourt. As the redshirt freshman, Jael Martin, they say he's a freakish athlete, and he showed it there, picking the pocket.
Very opportunistic.
Gotta love the referees in this situation. It's an exhibition. Let them play a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Bang some bodies.
That's a great point, because Martin did get away with bumping Marsh, no call. But
Just a little.
You got to like that, though.
No. Martin goes to the line.
That's great preparation for the WCC and Big Ten campaigns, right? It's going to be physical. You got to get used to it.
Coaching staff was telling us Martin really has the prototypical NBA body, size and length that you salivate over as a head coach on the wing. While Brownell comes in for USC, just like with any of the newcomers who has not played a second of college basketball before, it's just how quickly Bill can he integrate himself into this system.
Sometimes ignorance is bliss as well. You just come in and play like you've played your entire life, right? Just come in and get after it.
0 for 2 at the line, stays an 11-point USC lead in what has been a defensive slugfest. Now a foul going the other way. It's Baker Mazzara called for the moving screen. Trojans have gotten caught for a few of those in the first half alone.
Tim Capstraw, the Brooklyn Nets radio analyst, Randy Foy, used to say the only thing you'd be late for in the NBA is a screen being set for you. So sometimes you just have to have patience as a ball handler. Let that screen be set. Let things develop.
Freshman to freshman here. Thomas to Martin. Had nothing on the baseline. Tanner Thomas in amongst the trees. High degree of difficulty.
Quickly, you go at him and try to get him in foul trouble, attack him, or you bring him out onto the perimeter so that opens up driving lanes. So It's a conundrum, no question, but one that can be overcome.
Brownell off on a 3. LMU is hung in this game, though, by good perimeter defense. Trojans 0 from 7 from 3. Transition tray a little strong from Martin, but it's knocked off last by Jaden Brownell. Now, so often, if you're at 11 points through 17 minutes, you're thinking game is probably over, but LMU, who hangs their hat on the defensive end, has been able to just bring this to a grinding halt, essentially, over the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, as UB Brown says, an NBA game is never over. Same thing for college. And you're right, LMU's defense, they've held SC to 4 points over the last 5 or 6 minutes or so of this game. So they've made nice adjustments defensively. And again, when you're getting stops, when you're getting defensive rebounds, or you're turning the ball over, that just opens up scoring opportunities.
Now some confusion now from Stan Johnson and his staff. It was a 5-second call on Jan Vide. Looked like he was trying to call timeout. So he tried to call timeout. They didn't give it to him before the 5-second violation. Now they're giving Stan Johnson a timeout that he probably doesn't want at this point. And you can tell not happy about it. And I think now they are going to first wave off the timeout and decide not to review it. So we're good to go. That's why we have the exhibition season, right?
Absolutely. Even for the officials who are doing a terrific job, notwithstanding the timeout confusion.
Marsh in the traffic and lays it off. Well, Dines is known for his shot blocking, but he can also do that. Easy stick back. You go 5'11" point guard up to 7'5" center.
So if you go and help on the driving ball handler, there must be rotation and a body put on a red jersey. If that does not happen, you see USC capitalizing.
Eric Musselman has to love what he's seeing from Dines. On the drive, stripped underneath. Baker Mazzara starts the outlet. Baker Mazzara on the mid-range. A little short. There's a rebound from Vide and a chance to push for LMU. Those opportunities few and far between. Block from behind. Deflects right to the corner and Rodney Brown. Vide drive and kick. Extra pass. Amy on the deck. Partial alter again by Dines. How good is this SC defense?
Yeah, Dines with great anticipation and timing.
Oh, he wants the ball back. Look at him go underneath. Oh, he's denied again. Great battle on the bigs. Brownell for 3. That's good. A 27-11 lead for USC. They forced the Lions into missing their first 15 field goals. And it's just felt like every offensive possession, it is even finding an open look, Bill, has been difficult for the Lions.
Yeah, no question, Ben. USC has made the Lions work offensively. And again, like you said, exhibition, you want to get a barometer of where you're at.
Brown off on a 3, offensive rebound. How about another one? Gabe Dines in midseason form already. And this was the weakness of USC last year. They were a sieve in a lot of games defensively with a foul called on Baker Mazzara pushing Brown from behind.
And we saw McBride there with an offensive rebound, number 16 in white. McBride's such a good, versatile player, but again, great extension by Dines, just owning the defensive glass.
Brings Rodney Brown Jr. to the line. So nice from his perspective now to be in a healthy, stable program. Brown originally committed to Cal when Mark Fox was still the head coach, but Fox got fired before his freshman year even started. So he played for Mark Madsen, the new coach, for a year, then went to Va Tech, came off the bench in 18 games a season ago, now back in his home state in LA. Makes both free throws, snaps a long scoring drought for the Lions, who trail by 14 late stages first half. Baker Mazzara, they keep him in, playing with the 2 fouls. 6 in the shot clock. Good D. Baker Mazzara, nowhere to go. Off the side of the backboard. How was Rodney Brown able to do that. Really impressive on the defensive end, but he lost the handle. A steal by Easter. That really has been the first half tale in a nutshell. Even when LMU's made good, solid, hard-working defensive plays, they've been unable to capitalize. Marsh, a super impressive first half. The UNC Asheville transfer lays it off. Easter blocked. Great play, Aaron McBride, but it's taken away again. Easter the lob. Oh, the finish at the rim by Dines. Impossible to slow that down. To the lob up to one of just 14 players in NCAA history to be 7'5" or taller. And a 16-point edge for the Trojans. 3 from the corner, a little strong. Fight for the board comes to Brownell. 6 seconds left in the half. Chad Baker-Mazzara in his USC debut. 7 points, couple boards. Launches the 3, but is a little strong. And that does it. First half of the first exhibition game of the season in the books, and it's USC on top, 29-13. Behind 7 from the new